Thanks for joining us, everyone. Hi, I'm Viv. I'm one of the makers of Clocktower Con, and joining me today are Nick Moran, who designed Phantom Peak, Sherlock, the official live game, and Time Run, 2 escape rooms, and also Rosie Nicholls, who is a comedian, actor, prop and set designer, and the producer of Noel's Bard Plays Blood on the Clocktower. So welcome, let's have a little round of applause. A polite hand. Now, I've just realised that I was going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves, and I've just done that. So instead, can we start with the question, which is, what game space that you've designed are you the most proud of? Let's start on a really positive note of pride.
Should I start? Yes. So, for those of you who don't know what I do, largely speaking, I design escape rooms, physical spaces, and currently a large 30,000 square foot steampunk western town based in Canada Water. So it's a kind of real mix of things, some large, some small. But I think the thing that I've been most proud of that I did was actually the first kind of escape room I ever designed, which was called Time Run, based in East London. At the time, it was kind of the first real high budget escape room pretty much anywhere. Yeah. It was a massive risk that some people took. Oh no.
Oh no, you're gonna have to say it all again.
I won't say it again, that was it. You only get one chance. The information is gone, and once it's left my brain, it's gone forever as well.
All right, please join us. Nick is just talking about Time Run.
Should I start again?
Yeah.
Should we start that answer question?
Yeah, okay, I'll ask the question again. What?
What? What a broad question. I assume you're asking the question, what playable space that I've designed I'm most proud of.
Incredible.
Wow, I'm so good at this.
Mind reading.
Mind reading. Yes. Wow. Based on that question, which I'm great at interpreting from such small amount of information, I would say the first game I ever designed, which was called Time Run, based in East London, which was this sort of escape room, first really high budget escape room anyone ever done, and it was the first kind of major project in that way ever done. And I got to really put all these theories and things that I'd really wanted to do into practice and really work out kind of on the fly how I think a playable space should be. And I would say got it right about 60%.
Much more than that.
A strong 60%.
I can say John and I played Time Run probably in 2016, I think it was, and it was incredible. Sadly, no longer with us.
RIP, it's become flats. As a person who builds things in buildings in London, every single thing I've ever done has become a flat. So if you're buying on the property market, you are my enemy.
There we go.
Anyway.
Was it on? I think I remember where this was. Was it a zombie thing?
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
No. It was time travel, and so you got to kind of go to lots of different spaces across time and space. Sort of each room is a kind of different time period with portals that went between. It was really fun.
What about that makes you proud?
In the usual way, it was kind of the first time I'd really stepped up to that kind of next level. It was kind of a big break for me. It was also, in the usual way that most things happen across most people's lives. I'd ended up with the ability to do that particular project by complete coincidence and no actual skill. So it was nice to put into practice and see whether I think, when someone said, can you really do this? I'm like, I'm certain I'm the right person to do this. I had no idea what I was doing, but I had a good old sporting try.
Confidence is key, is what we're learning here.
Exactly, yes.
And Rosie, what is something you've designed, a game space that you've designed that you're most proud of?
I think game spaces is, because I've sort of done a mix of theatre, events and parties, and then Clocktower based stuff. And then yesterday I was working on the Oxventure live show out in Bloomsbury. And yeah, so I guess it's Clocktower season 2, I would say, because it was I kind of did that job 3 times. So the pilot was the proof of concept. And then I got a budget for season 1, and then it was okay, I can really make this come to life now. And then it was basically doing that, recreating it for season 2 with little changes, but still making it feel the same. And it is a challenge to like go into recreate something that you did a year ago to the same effect, you know, down to like the leaves that you're sprinkling on the floor and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it was that. It's like it's weird when you do the same thing again. I don't know if you've ever had an experience of like that sort of remount type thing, but you kind of go into like, oh, this is like mentally where I was a year ago when I was like designing this. It's like, oh, you just step straight back into it, and you're like, okay, well now knowing what I know from last time, I can like make it bigger, I can make it better, more specific, more fun, more detail. So yeah, I think season 2 did look. I think if you compare the two, in season 1 I had like the sort of transition from. It went from like winter through to summer over the course of the 6 episodes, which if you look at the shots of like the town square, you can see it changing. That was a really nice detail. But then for season 2, they specifically didn't want that. So then it was like, okay, now I've got to just try and make it visually interesting and also quite immersive for the people that were playing it.
Yeah, because you're doing it for the people who are in the room and also the people who are watching later. Yes. So are you like in sort of 2 like modes all the time doing that?
Yeah, I think so. And that was the same for Oxventure for Tales from the Guild yesterday, which was, you know, in a theatre. So it's got to look nice from the auditorium, like, you know, sitting 20 rows back or whatever. But then also it's being filmed, so it's got to have nice detail so that like that's all picked up, you know, in the close-ups or whatever. But I mean, with all this stuff, there's so much opportunity to just plant little Easter eggs. I think that's what was really fun about all of these jobs, really. And when you're working on a game, it's like a game has so many different avenues and so many different like strands and like bits of interest. Like Clocktower, for example, it's got like hundreds of characters. So the 5 different spaces in the Clocktower set are all based on characters in the game. And then it's like you go down this rabbit hole of like what would be in the space and in the world of like that specific character, which might not even really get a mention in the game, but like you might as well just do as much as you can, and one person might spot it, or like one person might spot the costume from the Norrell's Bard shoot that we did like 2 years before that's like hanging in the back. You know, one person like might spot that, but like for me, that's really fun. So yeah, there was a lot of opportunity to just plant little secrets.
You have a lot of Easter eggs in your work, I think, Nick, as well.
Yes, especially sort of the current project that I've had, Phantom Peak, which you didn't hear about because that original answer was erase some history. Which, full disclosure, and this is not a repeat, it's a 30,000 square foot town in Canada Water. Currently, not yet made into flats, which is a frightening place to be in, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point soon. So that's the sort of 30th, this town and this sort of it's set in an alternate universe, this fictional town, and people come back to over and over again at different kind of seasons of stories, and there are 4 different seasons of stories a year, each of which kind of there's a little bit of a time jump in the town, which is kind of very exciting when people come back, and there's always kind of references and things like that as this town changes and grows with the seasons and all different festivals across it, and that's something that's really important for the kind of repeat customers, of which there's kind of quite a lot of people come back to Phantom Peak again and again and again. Instead of our repeat rate about 30%, which is very, very, very high for the industry. And there's a big kind of fan Discord who come over and over and over, and they notice everything, which is of course incredibly gratifying, as I'm sure is the case. You're like, I put that on there, and I know someone is going to notice it.
In comedy, they call it a 2%er, like a joke that's just for 2% of the audience. But it's 30%.
Yes. Well, no, it really is for the 2% who are just like super eagle-eyed. Sometimes I don't notice, but we're doing this stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, we did that on purpose. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, that just reminded me of CBW. I don't know if anybody watched CBW that was on YouTube. It was a series that Norrell's Bard did. It's an RPG, and we did it in the old studio, and they asked me to do a look for it, and we got these Calax, and it was like 5 by 6, so like 30 props on each side, so it's like 60 individual props, and every single prop was an Easter egg from the previous season. And so it was like tiny little moments. So I combed through the whole of all the CBW content previously and just made notes of like any reference to anything that was like remotely fun. and then turn them all into like physical props. And there is a Wikipedia page where one person has gone through and decoded all of it. And when I didn't know about that for like a year, and then somebody sent it to me, and I was so overwhelmed that somebody had actually like noticed, and noticed that like that pot was the moment where Silver Bro and Golden Joe went to the tent and like ate some of this like ground up leaf. It's like one tiny little moment, and then that was what that was, and someone got it, and I was just like,
it's a gift from the designer to the people who are consuming that content or playing in that space. So when John and I do our big Christmas on the Clocktower event, so it's a very high-end thing. People are paying a lot of money to be there. They're traveling internationally sometimes. So we put a lot of effort into kind of those details for people, and those are the things that take the most time, but are so worth it when someone goes, I loved that. So that's my hot tip. Like, budget in your time if you are planning some kind of event to be like, what can I do to make this really special, really unique, just for the people who are coming here?
Yeah, because people will go and enjoy it for the experience, but there is a percentage of people who will go there and like really take in all of that like detail and like really revel in like the spectacle of like the setting. And it means a lot to those people when it's done like really, really well. So like that's what I get a lot of satisfaction out of.
We did have a question. What's the best hidden detail you've put into a play space? Do you have such a thing, Nick?
It's not really a hidden detail. I think the best hidden details are the one that are so hidden that you don't even realize you're doing them. For example, so in Phantom Peak, this is really, really long explanation. There's a platypus. Phantom Peak's really big on platypuses, right? The platypus is the mascot of Phantom Peak. Phantom Peak is like, if you like platypuses, you should come to Phantom Peak. And if you don't like platypuses, leave now. Because you're no friend of mine and you're no friend of this room, which I believe ultimately is platypus friendly.
Look, I'm Australian. I'm
all about platypuses. Yes. There is a particular character called Terence Talking Platypus who can't die for various different reasons. Anyway, he's cursed by, he basically just dies all the time. Horrific character. And there's this person who keeps on making little gravestones of Terence Talking Platypus and 3D prints them. Yeah. And this is more like a hidden detail that a fan made. And there's a 1.3 second shot in a video of Terence Talking Platypus's gravestone, which is Terence Talking Platypus, the world is quieter without you. And someone made an incredible 3D model of it and gave it to me. And that was the model, that was more something that someone pointed out and gave to me. And that was a very wonderful and strange moment.
Well, I think that's because, like, when we're saying, like, giving a gift to your audience, like, that's you creating something so kind of full that people can give you gifts back, right? They can go away, and it has encouraged play in people's minds and imaginations, and they go home and they create those things and they contribute back. And, like, that's so exciting when you kind of have that dialogue, right? Yeah. I'm gonna take us in a different direction now. What kind of spaces make people want to play or not want to play?
Ooh, what kind of spaces from a design perspective?
Yeah,
or?
I think from how do you encourage people? Because say you've got people who don't know each other, for example, like an event like this, a lot of people here don't know each other. How do you kind of then encourage them to go and like follow things, or what turns people off?
I think a big long table is really hard. And particularly if you're like in an audience, if there's like an audience involved or if there's people watching, if you're having to lean forward and like try and talk to somebody on the end, I just think that's quite hard. So like maybe that's just from like a video point of view, but I also think like it just helps people engage a bit more if like you're in a circle.
That actually reminds me of the thing that you said that made me come up with this panel idea, which was that you had these design references for Narol's Bard plays, one of which was maths and the dinner party table. Can you tell us about that? Because that's really cool. And what were your other influences as well? Because they're all really diverse and interesting.
So for Clocktower, when we were putting together the pilot really, and then, into season 1, which was much more high spec, I was trying to think about how we get everyone's secret audio, you know. Because that's in Clocktower, it's all the thinking time, isn't it? It's all like the little journey to the chat room and then the chat that you have when you're there. But on the journey, you might have a breakthrough. So like, you know, how do you, as soon as you leave the circle, you're suddenly thinking and talking out loud. So it's like, okay, how do we make sure that we get everyone's audio all the time? And when we were on set, I mean, I was there like, you know, kind of running the shoot as well. And as soon as anyone was traveling, I was like, there was a vow of silence. No one was allowed to talk for that exact reason, because there were no cameras on the journeys. We actually had GoPros in the pilot, and they all clapped out because they all got too hot because they were on for like hours. So originally I was going to Big Brother it, basically, where I was like, anywhere you go in this theatre, you are on camera. That was like my whole thing. I was like, this, you know, as soon as we turn over, the game is on. Like you can like realize you can solve the game on like the way to the toilet. You know, like, so I was kind of, that was very much my steer, and Laurie was a bit like, that's a bit weird. And I was like, no, it's cool, guys, it's cool. Anyway, yeah, so I was thinking about that. So I kind of wanted it to be, from a directorial point of view, I wanted it to be a mixture of like Married at First Sight, where they're on those long tables and they have this dinner party, and you've got a person basically from every angle, and you don't really see them wearing mics. They're all kind of mic'd up, got close body mics, but there's also mics, you know, hidden in the dressing as well. For like those little chats, and there's like room mics, and when you actually watch, if you watch Married at First Sight now, it's a set build. Like there's moments where they go, it looks like a nice country house, but it's a soundstage. Like they go around the back of the set, and it's flats, and there's a flight case there. You know, it's not what it looks like at all. And like that is kind of key to like this whole thing. I think something like super immersive like that you're creating and curating the entire experience. So we were trying to think with Clocktower, like we make a big thing of it being in a theatre, and you know the recluse's den is under the seating bank, the dressing room, the tent is in the dressing room, and like I definitely wanted it to feel like it wasn't, you know, what it was, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I was trying to think about how to like make it feel like a reality show, as well as feel like an immersive theatre experience, as well as being like, you know, a YouTube show and a seasonal like The Traitors sort of thing. So those were sort of like my 3 reference points, really. So that was more like, that was kind of production, but then obviously being the designer as well, I was like building that into the design of like, you know, can we do all of those things? And then we spent quite a lot of money on making sure the sound was like really, really good in season 2. And I'd worked with really wonderful sound, head of sound, who is like on the BAFTA panel on a film that I was a prop master on. And we just were quite good friends. We were working on this film that was all about bands. So like he just really knew his stuff about like live recording. And I had a consultation with him, and he was so interested in the project that he was like, I'll come and do it. And that was so incredible. So that's why the sound is just absolutely excellent for season 2, because he was doing it. So yeah, Paul Paragon, what a legend.
Do you have any tips of like how do you encourage essentially people to play?
Yes, I've got a lot of thoughts on this. So good, perfect question. So, you know, a lot of the things that I've done are basically, you know, spaces where players are in their own steam to do whatever they want within a space. You know, they've got to be encouraged to play, explore, discover all these various things. And the thing that is really hard to do is to make players feel comfortable. Like comfort is the ultimate thing. Make people feel comfortable to give to the world so the world can give back to them. And that's the thing, to make a world where you can do that, that's where you really create a stage where people can feel they can step into it and feel comfortable. Because most people are nervous in these spaces. They don't know the rules, and that's not on them. That's not their fault.
Yes.
They don't know what is allowed, what is not okay, and it has to be that the world is screaming, yes, and I'm ready to take your hand if you take mine. And that, I think, is a really hard thing to do as a designer. It's why I think that a lot of things like, you know, I see in the US there's a lot of kind of immersive horror experiences, and they're always like, why are people so afraid all the time? And I'm like, maybe because it's a fundamentally frightening world you've created. You know, so, and it's that thing of, you know, the world itself has to be somewhere that you feel that you want to explore and that will reward your exploration and discovery. I think that's really important.
So, but how do you build that comfort in?
It starts right from the word go, with the onboarding, you know, with the rules, with making sure people understand what the rules are that are really simple, with the tone. Tone is so important.
Tell us more. What's the tone?
So, with the things like Phantom Peak, tone is very light, very frothy, very comedic, very charming, like very upbeat. It has a lot of, other elements to the actual show, but it is a place that you're like, okay, I get it. I get the tone, I get it, I go around with a smile on my face and other people have a smile on my face. And that tone element is really good because once you know the tone, you can play into it, you can become part of it, and you become kind of in on the joke. Once you're in on the joke, you're part of the experience, you understand what you're doing.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Immersive theatre show, the very famous one that is based on Sleep No More.
Yes.
Which ran.
My brother calls it Walkie Aroundy Macbeth. Which I was like, he's like, I did that thing, the thing you said, Walkie Aroundy Macbeth. I was like, okay, sure, yeah.
To our shame, John and I have never played it, despite having been in New York a number of times. I think it's being turned into flats, actually.
It is being turned into flats. It is, yes.
It is, they set a tone there and they invite people to come, reciprocate and play back with them. And so, from what I've told from people who have been, the audience members also feel sort of empowered to join in.
Yes.
And you might be interacting with someone who is a paid actor or an audience member and you might not know. And that's kind of the whole...
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that Punch Drunk, the makers of Walkie Around Macbeth, the trademark, are really good at is that, the rules. They give you a mask, if you're do not speak unless you're talked to. If someone comes and says, come with me, you can go with them. You understand the rules are easy to explain in a second and you're like, great, I know nothing is gonna worry me and I can just yes and when it happens, or I can just observe if I want. You can step back if you want, you can step forward and be more a part of it, it's up to you.
This is a perfect moment to plug mine and John's favourite book, of all time, that we recommend to so many people when we're talking about event design, which is called The Art of Gathering. It is written by this author called Priya Parker, and she basically is here's how to design an event of any size or scale that will, like what you said, give people rules, set a tone, give them comfort, give them boundaries to play within, basically. And it is the most influential book I have ever read on my own personal practice as someone who designs events. So if you're interested in creating events, hosting events of any kind, literally from dinner party to, tens of thousands of people, it's excellent. But yeah, her main thing is give people, people want to be told what to do. No one wants to show up and be like, I feel like I'm sticking out like a sore thumb. So it's a gift to them.
There's also something about the whole team as well. You're there as the designer and you've got your team that are making the environment.
Yes.
But you can't have that, you can't just do whatever you want. It has to be in conversation with production and the director and the other people that are helping to curate the tone of the whole experience. So if you're putting together this complete maze, but the director actively wants it to be really simple, then that's two completely clashing things that are just going to be maybe difficult, maybe not be quite right for the event. So but also you need to make sure that your creative vision is working and then you get to do what you want to do as well. So it's there'll be in immersive theatre, I guess there's all these people that are helping to make it happen on the ground. There's the actors in there, there's the stewards, there's people that are helping to make, they're all part of the world. It's a whole world, lighting, sound, the look, the feel, the journey of it. It's all very tied in. So if it's just you doing something you're hosting a party or whatever, but if you're doing an event with the full team, the team has got to be watertight. The communication's got to be really good. You've got to be so clear about how you're going to go about actually, building a forest. If you want to do that, how are you going to do that? Are they going to be real? They're probably going to be, it's all those discussions. It's it's all the prep. It's such a good part of it, and a really important part of it.
It's what you were saying of building in the things the tone from the first meeting, from the first design documents.
Everything. Yeah. Ideally on Notion, a great piece of software.
It is
It is very good. I love Notion.
How long did it take you to plan Phantom Peak?
12 terrible weeks.
Nick! I thought you were going to say 12 months.
No, 12. I don't believe in time. Time is the enemy. 12 weeks. 12 weeks. We built Phantom Peak in 4 months. which
Okay,
and we
don't
planned it in
listen
12
to
weeks.
him.
Do not do
He's
any
not
of the
a
things
real
I've
person.
done. Do not learn from my errors. Learn from the curses I've done upon myself.
How long was the actual build?
We built Phantom Peak from 0 to the end in 16 weeks. Yes, which is I didn't want to do again, but I probably will.
And the actual set build?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, but we're a full design build company, so we don't have. It's a bit easier when it's all kind of one system. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry, did you say 6 weeks?
16.
16 weeks.
16, which is also really short, by the way. So it's not like 16 weeks. That's easy.
Because it is huge.
Yeah, it is huge.
It is really
huge.
big.
It is huge. We did build the second part of it in a further 4 afterwards.
Right.
So really it's 20. So basically, I'm a liar. Yeah, wouldn't trust me. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, but that was really round the clock. Glenn, who I built Phantom Peak with, lived on site. He lived on site for 3 months.
Wow.
Didn't see his family. Was it worth the sacrifice? I don't think so. But I don't have a family, so whatever.
But like, it's not a lot of time. Like, you know, if something goes wrong, you know, supply chain issue. You know, what if something gets lost? You know, if there's no, it's like in COVID, there was like no. I know this is like a crazy sidebar. There was no plasterboard in this country, and like my dad's a builder, and they were working. They were still working. They were key workers, but they couldn't build anything because there was no plasterboard, and like that's meant for like 12 months. It was mental.
Well, that actually folds nicely into a question that we had from the audience, which is there anything that you can tell me about plasterboard, please? Is there anything that hasn't gone to plan? So, like, did you have like people going to be walking through the door in 16 weeks when you started? Like, what was?
Sold tickets.
Yeah.
Giving me heart palpitations just listening to you.
10,000 of them.
Cool. So if, say there'd been a plasterboard shortage or a platypus shortage in the UK at the time.
This is very few.
What hasn't gone to plan in events that you've run?
I mean, where do I start over the course of the last few years? I mean, the truth is, it's often things exactly like Rose pointed out. It's just like suddenly something no longer exists in the world.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
I was relying on that.
Well, that normally is like a staple. It's like again in the pandemic when you could get no timber.
Exactly.
Because they just were like, oh, we're not going to mill all the forests this year. We'll just start milling them next year. So the price of timber just rose. So there's loads of, it's all those things that are the main things. But the way that I always think about it, as long as you understand the structure of what you're going to do, you can swap out those elements fairly easily within. Yeah. You have much more. To be honest, with a live show like yours, you have so much less ability to change things because with us, you have to have all these things because it has to look a certain way. With us, we have a little more power on what we do.
Yes, because no one knows what you intended.
No one knows what we intended,
Yeah.
but you're replicating events or building other things you've done before, so they've got ideas in their head. So that's much more difficult. But with us, we can swap out elements, we can change elements.
Yeah, I certainly find with my events, it helps. We were talking before, just earlier, Nick was like, I thrive in chaos. That's why I'm always late to things, even though I hate being late.
Jonathan works with me. Please don't tell him this. That was a private conversation.
He already knows that you're late. But he was saying, like, you run events. You must also feel the same way, and I absolutely do, because it's like I think there's maybe a mindset that's helpful with these kinds of things, which is a ruthless prioritization. Like, what is the most important thing that we need to do at this second now, so that the 10,000 people walking through the door in 16 weeks aren't met with like
they did not come
a
in the same
building
day.
site.
That's over our legal capacity in case the council's here.
But I think it definitely helps to be able to kind of go, what absolutely has to be in place, what is slightly less important, all the way down like the list of minor details, and then be in a kind of zone where you can go, okay, I accept that things are going to go wrong. What can I do to mitigate that? How can I plan ahead? How can I problem solve on the fly? I think is quite a useful, if you're like designing some kind of event, having someone on your team who is like that, who can do that kind of thinking is very helpful, I would say. Yeah, you want like creative, kind of responsive thinking rather than we have to do this and oh no, I forgot this tiny little thing at home. But like most problems can be solved, right?
I have a very good anecdote.
Please share.
So, in fact, first season of Phantom Peak, we promised that we were going to build a boat ride. And we did not know how to build a boat ride when we sold tickets, but we were sure going to work it out. And so along the way, we built quite a lot of boats over those 16 weeks. And in the end, we built like basically, you'll know exactly this. So like, you know, the big sheets of poly you get. We made a poly raft base.
Poly is in like polystyrene?
Yeah, polystyrene pontoon.
Right.
Floats.
Yeah, and it sure floated. thanks to the miracle of polystyrene.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was, but there became like this graveyard in the back of Phantom Peak of various different boat prototypes. And also the time that I bought 45 boats from a boat supplier. I've got 45 like boats this big. I don't know what to do with them. Does anyone want a boat? There's too many. There's too few of you. You can't all take away a boat. Why are you even here? This is why I came today.
Boat salesman, Nick Moran.
Boat salesman. You can take them for free. They're quite nice. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. A boat-based event is on the horizon.
Yeah, but we
But
did.
do you manage
We
it?
did. We built an indoor boat lake.
Great.
And
Lake?
A lake, literally a lake. It was probably three times the width of this, full of water. We realised, of course, classic. This is like we hadn't really arranged the staffing properly, so I manned the boat ride on my own for 3 months, getting people on and off. We just opened. I was exhausted, and Glenn, my business partner, was in the water helping people off. We just started. Anyway, That's why Glenn didn't see his family. He's too busy manning the boat ride. But yeah,
I know where I'd rather be.
the boat ride. Yeah, the boat ride was pretty. Anyway, it's pretty fun. Immediately after that first season, we destroyed it because it was awful.
Right. I was going to say, I don't remember there being a boat ride
Good.
there.
There never was one. Much like the big.
Delete the footage.
Yeah, exactly.
Scrub it out. Do you have an anecdote, Rosie, of something going wrong?
I'm trying to think.
If you want to think about it, I've got one. I planned an event for a certain date, and I thought, well, my baby will be 6 weeks later than that. And then it arrived 6 weeks earlier. But it all worked out fine. But because I think also part of that was I was sort of aware of the kind of event that it was going to be. It's like a community event. It's a lot of lovely people. A lot of people were very understanding. We communicated what was going on and people offered help and we accepted. You know, we were like, okay, that's another thing. Delegating, being able to delegate is very important for running large-scale events, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the delegating thing and the communication thing is very important. Because when you're working on something like big as well, like a film or like a massive like theatre event, everybody's doing their job to the best of their ability in their department, and sometimes somebody doing their job really well works out badly for you. And like that's not their fault. They're just trying to do their job because they're going to get their head bitten off by the person who's above them if they don't do that. So you might get a phone call when you're, driving home from the prop house with an entire Luton full of like lights and props and, ready to do an 8 a.m. get-in the next day because that's what has been discussed for 12 weeks. And then you get a phone call from the like assistant location manager being like, oh yeah, you can't arrive tomorrow. You have to arrive the day after. And you go, yeah, but the event is the day after. So what? And they're just like, oh no, I've just been told that it's not available anymore. And we're like, okay, but I've paid. We've paid to have the day, and it's the day before the day. What do you mean? And then you have this conversation, and then you just have to be like, you have to kind of stick to your guns and sort of say, I'm afraid that's not going to work. you have to know when to bend, know when to be absolutely firm.
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Absolutely, and that is very key because it's almost like it's like a mountain. It's like at the start, you're at the base of the mountain, you're kind of discussing things, you're being communicative, you're accepting of different advice and like here's how it could work. And then you get to the next level and you're like, okay, we're going to start firming things up now. Then you get to the next level, you're like, this is the plan. And then you're almost at the peak and it's like, we're at the door, like about to go in and start. If something goes wrong in that sort of middle section, it's either like, yes, we're gonna compromise or like, no, that is not gonna work for us. And art department is the biggest department. Hey, thanks, Dom. Oh, that's on camera, whoops. Sorry, or is it? Hi. Art department is the biggest department by far. Like, if you're working on a film, you walk onto set and there's 100 people there. And, there might be 5, 10 people in like each department, maybe. But then the art department have an office across town where there's 50 people working. And the dressing team are at location B, C, and D, dressing and striking around. And then there's the crew. So like, it's art department is massive. And it's like, that kind of gets forgotten, I think, that art department is so huge. Like, I've had the director, like, the art department do have 2 people on set that are kind of like managing the props and stuff, and the director's like congratulating them on the set. And it's like, what do you mean? We've been with you. Like, we've been with you at the other location. We didn't dress this. And there's a team of like 10 people that were in there before, dressing it. And like, I think there's, certainly in film and TV, there's a little bit of a lack of understanding about how big the art department is. And I mean, in theatre, it's massive, and people are very skilled. Like, people really know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, film is so much more, theatre has the ability to be more scrappy than film and TV does, because film and TV is like a machine, right? It's, you know much better than me. I've only worked a very tiny bit in it, so.
Yeah.
I do have one more really good anecdote, and it's just reminded me because Dom Allen walked in and he is part of this anecdote of something that going spectacularly wrong, which was at the end of the first, and Jeej, the camera person, was also there. At the end of the first Christmas on the Clocktower, everyone had gone home. Some of the guests were going in a minibus that I had organised. We were getting out of the house, congratulating ourselves on a job well done, really good weekend. We got the last of the stuff out of the house, packing it into the cars, and I get a call, and the call says, hello, the minibus has broken down, and there are 3 people on the bus with flights and tonight, and several people with trains. What can we do? So I called Dom, who was driving back to London, and I said, where are you? And they were 10 minutes behind the bus, and so they got the first load of people and kept on going to London. And then I was like, oh no, there is also an auxiliary car, a taxi, that is carrying all the people on the bus's luggage to Walthamstow Central Station, and they are going to beat, the taxi's going to beat the people in the bus by a long, long way. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is the hardest problem I have ever had to solve, because what the fuck am I going to do? And I called John's mum, because she lives not too far away from there, and I said, can you please go and pick up all of these bags and then send all the people on the bus to their house? So they all got to see the inside of Gracie Manor, and it was quite the ordeal, but we got some good laughs out of it.
It seemed like the only time was speed, distance, time, like, thing for maths ever came in useful in real life.
Exactly,
It was a true...
I was the meme, like, triangulating everything. How do I solve this problem? And then Gigi's car broke down as well. It was a hectic night.
But I think that is really key. Like, something that I always say to my like prop team, if we're like going and doing something and it's mad stressful, it's like most problems definitely just can be solved. But if you like stress is just so awful. And I think over the years, I'm quite proud to say, I'm very smug to say that I'm rarely like stressed in a build environment or in an environment like that. Like my stress threshold is high, but that comes from having worked in very stressful situations. And I think when you're doing an event, the stakes are high. But if you've done all your prep, you know what the plan is. If you haven't really left anything to chance, the reasons for stress are quite low, right? Because you've kind of done everything that you can, and that is very, very important thing to remember when you're like, you know, putting the plan into action. If something does go wrong, it's like, try, you know, this is sort of my number one tip. It's like, can this be solved? Is it going to have a knock-on effect for me? Yes or no? Is that something I need to be cross about? Yes or no? And you know what I mean? It's like, it's that thing of like, do I need to have a conversation with somebody about this? Can I adapt? You know, and it's all about trying to save yourself the stress of the situation, because it can be very stressful, but like, it doesn't have to be. And that is a kind of getting on top of your own mindset type thing. And I think it helps you enjoy the job more. You know, if you try to like reduce your stress, I know it's very hard, that's like a very easy thing to say, like, oh, just reduce your stress, but like, it will ruin the job for you. And sometimes it is just not great. Sometimes you're just really under pressure and like, you haven't got enough money, you haven't got enough time, and like, those things are really hard to overcome. But it's like, ultimately, it's your work and you want to be proud of it, you want to enjoy it as much as you can. And, you know, you'll look back on it and think, wow, that was really crazy and really stressful. But, you know, at the time, you do just want to try and maintain that, just like your position of like, I know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm capable of doing. So yeah, it's just that like trying not to let it overtake you. But then sometimes, you know, you get it from all sides and you're just like, "Wah!" And like, that's, you know, obviously that is going to happen. But, you know, I think that's just the key. Just try to enjoy it. You know, it's meant to be, it's creative, it's a fun job, and it is gonna work out. Even if you have to delay by, you know, a week, an hour, 2 hours, 10 minutes, whatever, it will still go ahead.
Yeah. Well, this actually is related to a question that came in, which was, what are the key skills you need to have to design and run these kinds of events? So we think managing your stress and like having that, like a binary, is it going to affect me? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
Yeah.
Okay. That is good. I think prioritization and delegation. Nick?
It's the ability to see something through. I know that seems like a very basic thing, but most people are starters or finishers, and you've kind of got to be both.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to see a project through, you know, in order to do an event once, you've just got to be able to see something through to conclusion. That will make it exist.
Yeah.
But in order to do something habitually, and make a product or make a skill set or something like that, you've got to create a methodology that allows you to move from concept to, you know, through to completion along various different milestones that you've created yourselves, so the people you work with know how they work, and you create a shared language, a shared set of, you know, principles, all of these kinds of things. But you know, if you're just a starter or someone who has that brilliant concept of an idea, then the events industry, that is not for you. And if you're a finisher, there are parts that will be, you know, there are parts, of course, that are really good for you, that, you know, doing that. But if you're someone who really understands, right, okay, I know I want to have an event, I'm going to have this many people, I know what exactly has to happen, I know, you know, what the feelings I want to engender within people are, and I know how to achieve that, and you can, then that's how you put on playable events that really work, and that's how you can do that. But it is really about making something into reality, because it's a hard job.
Yeah, it is. And I would say, like, I, in my life, am absolutely a starter and not a finisher, which, like, you're like, but Viv, we're at this event that you designed. Yeah. John is a follow-througher, and so that is very helpful for me. So again, finding people that you can work with that will sort of make sure that those things,
Exactly.
If you're missing something, find someone else that has that thing. And I would also say putting tickets on sale for something is a really great way to become a finisher.
Yeah. I've never not delivered an event. It's been touch and go every time.
I will also say, though, that the more of these things you do, and I think we were saying something like this before, the more of these things you do, the easier it becomes, and the more kind of like experience you have to draw on to create them. And also I find, like, even if, say, so for example, last year I was in the middle of planning like a festival. This has kind of come out of that plan in Sheffield, because a lot of people say, oh, can you please come and do something in the north? and it's hard to kind of get all the cast up and accommodate them and so on. And I thought, for say a one-day event, so let's make a multi-day event. So I was like planning this little festival, all go. And then the venue said, oh, sorry, we don't exist anymore. So you can't hire us. Sorry.
We know why.
Flats. But so that kind of got parked. But I think this event kind of came out of that. Bless you, Nick.
Apologies, I'm allergic to
You hate my
flats.
events. The kind of concept of this came out of that because I am a big believer that no idea or no planning that you've done is ever wasted. So like if you kind of get halfway down the road of doing something, or you tried something and it didn't really work or whatever, it's actually amazing how much these things can always kind of come back. And that's creative ideas, like planning ideas, spreadsheets that you've made, budgets, all that kind of stuff. It all kind of goes into the fodder that you have to draw on for future things. So I will say, like, anything that's kind of, you're like, oh, that didn't work out. Oh, maybe that was a bit embarrassing because no one showed up. Like, it's still the experience of doing it. It always happens. It will always happen. But there are things that you can always take from it to go forward.
I think my other big tip as well is like, it's quite good to say, if someone asks you if you can do something like a producer or somebody says, oh, can you plan this event? While it is extremely good to say yes, and then, knowing that you're going to figure it out later, that is absolutely my policy, by the way. It's just yes, I can do it. Can you build a boat lake? Mm-hmm. Yes. And then, because you can, like, that you can. Yes. Like, if you're a practical person and you do this, you want to do this stuff, like, that you can do it. But the absolute key is you simply must figure it out later. And it's, never pretend that you know how to do it if you don't, like, to yourself and to your team. So in my experience, if you are wanting to try and figure something out, how to do something, just ring people that do know. Ring the companies that do know how to do stuff. People who do know about materials, people who have done that sort of stuff before. Like, speak to them. They'll be so happy to share their knowledge with you. And then, like, you will then learn how to do it, and then you will be able to do it. So you've said yes to the person who needs to hear, yes, I can do that, without knowing any of the details. But then put all the details in place. And it sounds like very, very simple, but like, sometimes if you tell a producer, like, I've got no idea how to do that, they'll just get somebody else who says yes and then does figure it out later. So there's a bit of a trade-off there between sort of like, be confident in your ability to do it, back yourself, because you probably will be able to do it. But then when you're actually coming to the planning, you've got to have, like, be minute in the sort of like, okay, what screws do I use? Like, I'm going to speak to a carpenter. You can do that because everybody's very happy to share their knowledge, in my experience.
That's an underrated tip, which is like, people love being asked for advice.
They really do.
Yeah. All the time. It is so flattering to be recognised as an expert. Find the person, ask them.
Yeah, big time.
I think to build on what Rosie said is that the way I always think about it is, like, most people are really thick, so it's and they manage to muddle through with things, and I'm at least above average intelligence,
smart.
So I should be able to muddle through somehow, or find a cleverer person who can help tell me how to muddle through. Exactly. The thing is like, just like, accept that most things aren't really that hard, unless they're really hard, if they go wrong, no one will notice. And
if you do a bit of research and find it's too hard for you, you can just give it to somebody who does know what to do. Pay someone who knows what they're doing, and then you pay them, and you're still in charge, and you tell the producer, hey, it all works out.
Yes, I do know how to build a lake. I found someone who built a lake for me.
What's wrong, like, literally, what is wrong with that?
The answer is the lake is just a swimming pool.
It got done. Yeah. Like, basically get really nerdy about what you're doing. And that goes for, like, the detail of the look, how it's going to, if you're going to build, like, the washerwoman's laundry, let's, like, go get super nerdy about what that might look like. And you'll probably find some really cool little details. If you want to, like, build, like, you want to do your D&D game inside, like, a D20, you want to, like, build this, like, cool shape. Like, I've got no idea. Thank you.
Hey, you saw it first on camera. Rosie's idea. No plagiarists.
How do we do that?
How to build a D20?
Well, weirdly enough, I do now because I watched like 3 YouTube videos on how to build 20-sided dice for Oxventure. So, you know, we could do that. But I mean, also yesterday, you know, we were saying just earlier about like things going wrong and things being scrappy and stuff. Like, you know, doing the set build yesterday, we got in at 3, the house opened at 7, we had 4 hours to create an entire set. It was like no time at all, it was mental. But I turned on the last candle at 1 minute to 7. And then the first person like came in at 7. You know, that is how it goes every single time.
And that's a great feeling, right?
It's so nice.
It's like you're the artist finding a little brush stroke and you're like step back and you're like it's all done. Yeah, it's such a delight.
What was that show with Nick Moran where he like changed people's houses?
Oh, was it changing rooms?
No, what? Yes, DIY SOS. There is a great episode of DIY SOS where they're not finished. They're absolutely not finished. But the person's coming in the front and he's being shown around by Nick Moran, and they're out the back, they're like sweeping, they're like getting their toilet, they're throwing them out the back, into the van. It is a great episode, and I think of that every single time when I'm doing a set, because people are coming in the front and you're still like tidying out the back and getting the tools out, and like it just makes me laugh.
Prioritization. Who's coming in? Like, where are they entering? What are they seeing first? What are they seeing next? And so we build it. It's like in Wallace and Gromit, where they're going on the little tracks and they're building the track.
Yeah,
It's exactly that every time.
Yeah. We're nearly out of time. Does anyone have any questions? Yes?
So I run a community games group in my town. So we run events at a very small level, I guess. That's fully reliant upon volunteers to do it. Nobody's getting paid. So how do you encourage motivation and commitment to actually getting things done? People are working full time, have families, other obligations. To make these events happen when you can't just say, oh, I'll just pay someone else and they'll do it.
Yeah, well, that's a tricky question because if there's no real obligation to come, I think it's about the communication, right? It's sort of the building the team and feeling like, you know, you are entrusted with this task and like it, and feeling like you're part of that community, and if I don't do the thing that I've been asked to do, then the whole community will suffer. I mean, I guess it's a matter of building that feeling of you know, everyone's buying in to the whole commitment thing, and communicating what's that about? What's your ethos as a community? I would actually suggest reading that book, The Art of Gathering, because I think it will probably give you some good ideas about how to like bring people onto the mission. Yeah.
It's really hard. I think it's not easy to create that kind of sense of obligation, that sense of deadlines. I think like many people in my sector, I started out doing things with friends, with volunteers and things like that. And the truth is that you'll quickly find out who of those will let you down and who won't, and double down on the people who are committed. And don't try and be fair. This is my learning from doing all these things years ago, is that you want to be like, everyone's a part, everyone has their own role. Whereas actually 3 to 4 people are just solid. They never miss a deadline. The things they do is great. So I would say give them more, and just be like, sorry, you're not gonna deliver. You know what? There's another role for you. Turn up, be wonderful, do front of house, do something else. But you can't. You know, you're too busy for it. You're too busy for that. That's
that's good. Giving people the right tasks as well.
Yeah, that's very important. And you know, set the terms at the start. You know, they're obviously volunteering because they want to be there in some way. They want to be involved in some way. So I think it's okay to set out your stall quite early and be like, this is what we expect of our volunteers. We want you to, you know, for example, I work in a Southwark Playhouse, and the ushers are all volunteers, and they ask them to do 2 shifts a month. That's very low commitment, but if they can't fulfill that commitment, then they can't volunteer. So it's that balance of just like, if you want to be involved in this is the commitment that we expect, and that commitment needs to be reasonable, so that they feel like that it's okay for them as a volunteer. It's not too much, but it is something. And if they're not able to fulfill it, then you have a right as the organiser to say, it's not working out. Because I think you need to be able to rely on your volunteers. And I think it's okay to be like, well, this isn't just like a jolly. This is something that we're doing. This is a community. This is like a product is being created. So I think you can put a bit of light pressure, and if you lay the terms, make it super clear at the beginning, then they have the option to opt in, and if it's not working, they can opt out, or you can say, you know, it's not working out. That would be my advice.
It's great advice. Does anyone else have any questions? If not, I have a final question.
Can I add something to the volunteering?
Yeah.
We both do a lot of volunteering in a completely different sector, allotments. One of the things is being thanked for being a volunteer. Always thank volunteers.
Yeah.
Unless they're rubbish.
That's a great tip, thanking the volunteers. And yeah, like having something, not maybe just verbal thanks, but like some kind of token of that appreciation. Thanks to the volunteers in this room.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if people are not being paid for a job, you know, you can pay for their travel, you can pay for their food. You shouldn't. I think if you're doing something for free, you should never be, in a sense, paying to work.
No.
So, you know, at least pay for their travel if you can do that. Particularly if they're travelling from outside the M25. I think that's a fairly standard thing.
Which they will be in Scotland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you coming from Scotland? There you go. There you go.
I can't afford to bring them to games.
But like, you know, within like a radius.
Free for the first night. So
Yeah. If you can, I mean, even just like a travel like subsidy, you know, just like we contribute £10 to your travel, we contribute £5 to your
It's a
travel.
completely free organisation. Like, I'm not getting paid. Nobody's getting paid. We're just a community group.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to get people to do that. And also it's hard for you to kind of be the bad guy as well. That's not fun. That's not fun. Blackmail also works. Yeah, exactly. Try it. But private investigators are expensive. Got a reason one for you.
But literally what you just said about feeding people, like, you will, I'm sure you will agree with me with this. The crew marches on its stomach.
Oh my God.
If you provide pizza, guys, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. You've got to get good food. And honestly, the film crew, they get so angry about food. And the food is excellent in film and TV.
It is, yeah.
Excellent. And like, it's really funny. It's like when you're doing overtime, there's this massive like meme that goes around about producers buying pizza for everybody doing overtime. It's like, you're not getting paid for overtime, but guys, we got pizza. And like, everyone's just like, oh, okay, well, you know, we got pizza. So yeah, if you get good snacks, get good food, you know, it really makes a lot of difference when you're doing an event. Yeah, that's my little tip.
If you're starting out in sort of free volunteering style events and you want to move into something a bit bigger that requires budget, do you have any tips for how to make that transition? Because like self-financing events like that are a bit larger scale does come with risks.
Yeah, so for the benefit of the camera, the question was, how do you move from doing sort of free voluntary events into something with budget that's a bit more large scale? Any tips for easing that transition? Because there is.
It's really hard, and I think you have like and it is risky, and that's the truth of it. The way that sort of the way that I started out with a group of people, and we did a lot of things ourselves. We put we didn't have much money. We put them on ourselves. I think almost 100% lost money for a very long time, and that is kind of how it goes. Unfortunately, you have to sort of be prepared to weather that, and I wouldn't recommend it, all the time. So like I was lucky that and the other two, the people weren't. I kind of exited out of like that, and they spent a long time and they still put on loads of free events, and they don't really make it work. So I'm just saying it is tough. I'm just not, what I don't want to do is sell you a rosy dream that it's easy, but it can be very difficult. But I would also say, start on the spreadsheets, make it so that it's cheap to put on, it's reasonable, you can charge a small ticket fee for it, because then you can scale upwards. That's certainly what I would have done now, giving you advice to my younger self, is start off with a £2 ticket. A £2 ticket means people show up. People like the level of people, for a free event, the attrition rate is 50%.
Yeah.
But even paying £1, it's something like 10%. So like people start charging for things even if you want to do it free, because then you can scale up. And also people say, wow, people will actually come to you and be like, wow, I would actually pay £10 for this. And you'd be like, really? They pretty much always tell you exactly your ticket price. So you'll be able to find a way of doing it. That's what I would do if you're starting out. But it is hard, and you will, but start off manageable.
Yeah. I would say the biggest transition for me and John was, so we used to do like all kinds of sort of werewolfy things, and like we tried like dinner parties and like corporate stuff and all these sorts of things, and it's like it was quite hard to like get it going. But actually having something that is really unique, like that people really want to do, really helps. Obviously something like Blood on the Clocktower is a very like big passion for people, so making it as attractive as you can and as unique and specific to the audience as you can is, I think, also important for that. And then people will be like, this caters to me exactly. I would like to spend my money on it, please.
Yeah, and then you generate like returning audience as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think specificity that's a really, really good tip. I think make it easy for people to be in the room, and then make it really, really easy for them to just give you their money. Like I do run a comedy show, and we have sold out the last 2 shows. We've basically slashed the ticket price in half. Now it sells out every time. And I have a donation button on the way people walk out the door. Great. So they're actually paying the original ticket price, but they think they've come for half price. So it's like, that is a way of kind of, they come because they want to be there, and then they give you more money on exit when they're like, that was really great.
On that note, merch. I mean, I'm giving away all my secrets, but like if you buy a ticket 3 months ago for something and then you show up and you're having a really good time and there's a merch table, you might spend the same amount of your ticket again. And that is good for generating some cash for the...
Did you have any ideas of what kind of thing you were thinking of putting on, or is it just in general?
Just in general, maybe like, because I run a London-based cocktail group, and I'm just thinking about trying to scale that.
Cocktail group?
Clocktower.
I was like, cocktail. I was like,
Cocktails.
cocktail. I was like, my God, I was like, I can give you so many tips on how to make a
Sign
cocktail
me
thing
up.
make money. But again, like I do think if you already have a group already, the transition you already have an audience. You're like one step away from being able to charge money.
Amazing.
Yeah, and also like if you're ever doing any like work for other people for free, then just keep badgering them, just keep being in touch with them. It just kind of goes for everybody. If you're putting on an event like with a group of people, just keep saying to them like, yeah, I want to come back, I want to do it again. I mean, I've basically the journey from like getting to Clocktower season 2 for Narrow's Bard started with me putting some cobwebs in the studio for free one day, where they were like, I was like, I'm doing the shoot on Halloween. Should you want me to like just do some set dressing? And they were like, sure. And they literally gave me £50 in cash, and then I bought some stuff, and then I did it. And then the next time they did something, I was just like, hey, what have you thought about doing this? This is what I would charge for this. And I was, made myself very cheap so that, and then over the years, it kind of developed into then doing Clocktower 2. So it's like really building those relationships with people and just keep being in people's inbox. And, if you're doing an event like in a particular venue, you can contact the venue and say, I'm available to run more events like this. Here's my, and then people like want to have a chat about an event and they want to talk about money like, in the first 5 minutes, but you can knock that back a few emails. Like, it's like, get yourself in people's minds that you're a person that does this sort of thing, and you will end up just kind of generating a bit of a circuit of people.
I mean, these guys here are like, we really want you back. Last night, after like 3 hours of worth of event, they were like, please do this again, because this is really lovely. So, yeah. We are out of time. But thank you for joining and asking such lovely, thoughtful questions. Can you join me in giving a little round of applause for Nick and Rosie? Thank you so much.
This was really fun. Thank you for coming.
And in the spirit of what we were saying before about asking questions of people who know how to do things, I'm sure,
more than happy.
Come and ask us questions if you have anything specific or anything that occurs to you later. So, yeah. Thank you, and go enjoy your con.